Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Spiritual Gangster Podcast, a vibe-driven podcast for the soulful and strong. I'm your host, Amanda Pieraldi, and I am so grateful that you're here. So whether you're tuning in from your car, on a walk, during your morning coffee, or winding down from your day, I'm just so thankful that you're choosing to share this space with me. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to this soulful little corner of the world. Here we talk about healing, growth, inner strength, energy, alignment, and creating a life that feels rooted in purpose and power. Last week we explored what it means to cultivate inner strength in a chaotic world. And today we're diving into something just as important, the power of self-trust, reclaiming your inner knowledge. Because self-trust, it's the foundation for everything. For your healing, your decisions, your boundaries, your creativity, your confidence. And for so many of us, it's something we have to relearn, especially after life has knocked us around a few times. So let's talk about what self-trust really is, how to recognize when you're disconnected from it, and how to start rebuilding it from the inside out. Self-trust to me, it's that quiet inner voice that says, I've got me. It's the belief that you know what's best for you, that your intuition is wise and your feelings are valid, that your body and soul are always guiding you, even when it's hard to hear them through all the noise. It's choosing to lead yourself before you look outside for answers. It's standing in your truth even when others don't get it. It's having your own back, even when you're scared. And here's the thing. Self-trust doesn't always feel loud or confident. Sometimes it's a whisper. Sometimes it's shaky. But it's always there, deep within you, waiting to be heard. Being a spiritual gangster isn't about having everything figured out. It's about tuning in, trusting your vibe, and showing up for your life. Messy, honest, and real. Now if you're thinking, Amanda, I don't know if I fully trust myself right now, you're not alone. So many of us have had our self-trust chipped away by life experiences, by other people's opinions, by fear, by conditioning that's taught us to seek approval before we act. Here are a few signs that you might be disconnected from your self-trust. Are you constantly second-guessing yourself or asking others what you should do? Maybe you ignore your gut instincts even when something feels off. Maybe you over-apologize or avoid speaking your truth just to keep the peace. Perhaps you struggle to make decisions without external validation, or you find it hard to set or uphold boundaries. Or maybe even you feel anxious when it's time to stand in your power. If any of that resonates, know this: there is nothing wrong with you. You're just in a season of remembering who you are underneath all the noise. Let me share a little of my own journey with you, because self-trust is something I've had to cultivate again and again through different seasons of my life. When my marriage ended, I found myself at a turning point. I had to make some big decisions, not just for myself, but for my kids, my daughter and my son. One of those decisions was to go back to school and enroll in a 2-year diploma program in executive office administration. It was scary, it was unfamiliar, but I knew I needed to build a life that felt rooted in purpose, stability, and growth. And then came another challenge, losing my job. Let's be honest, that shook me. But instead of sinking into fear, I chose to get creative. I leaned into things that felt soul-aligned, even if they didn't necessarily make sense to everyone around me. I started doing things that felt risky, bold, and honestly, kind of scary. But my soul was calling. In 2024, I wrote my first book, Spiritual Gangster Daily Affirmations. A month later, I followed it up with the prompted daily journal to go alongside the affirmations. Then this past December, I published my very first children's book, Dream Big Little Star. These were all things born from self-trust, from choosing to believe in my voice and my gifts, even when doubt tried to creep in. Even launching this podcast, it wasn't a decision without fear. The self-doubt was real. I questioned whether anyone would listen, whether my voice mattered. But at some point, when you truly believe you have a message to share, a gift to give with the world, you realize your voice is powerful. It becomes a tool for healing, for connection, for impact. And yes, self-doubt still pops up. That inner critic still whispers sometimes. But the difference is, I now know how to pull myself out of it. Believing in myself has become second nature. Not because I'm fearless, but because I've practiced trusting my inner wisdom over and over again. So how do you start rebuilding self-trust? Well, here's a few practices that have helped me along the way. Start honoring your inner yes and your inner no. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Create space for stillness. And stop outsourcing your power. If you're into journaling, here's some reflection prompts. Where in my life have I abandoned my own voice to please others? What would it look like to trust myself more this week? And what's one decision I've been avoiding because I'm afraid of what others will think? And let's affirm it. I am safe to trust myself. My inner wisdom guides me with clarity and confidence. I choose self-trust over self-doubt. Self-trust is your superpower. It's what grounds you when the world feels shaky. It's what carries you when life asks you to rise again. It's what leads you home to yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out to start trusting yourself. You just need to take the next step with faith, courage, and heart. So this week, I invite you to lean into your inner knowing. Start small, start soft, but start. You're worthy of trusting your voice, your choices, your path. You're not here to play small. You're here to rise, to inspire, to lead, and to believe in your own magic. Thank you so much for being here today. If this episode landed in your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Message me, tag me on Instagram or Facebook, share your favorite takeaway, or leave a review. It truly helps this podcast reach more soulful, strong humans just like you. And don't forget, next week's episode is all about radical rest and sacred stillness. Because rest is not a luxury, it's a soul strategy. Until next time, keep tuning in, keep trusting yourself, and never forget, you are a spiritual gangster.